Evening star Venus is thinking a lot about the past, while Mercury morning star is initiating the future. In other words, your reflections on the things that you're perceiving, Venus, the things that matter to you, the things of value, are interacting through an activation with Mercury. And Mercury is very active here, very excited. So the words that are coming out of our mouths are creating things very quickly here. So from the reflection of the past, which is Venus in Libra, Mercury manifests or creates here through communication. So we get new experiences form here, initiating a new path forward out of the memories of the past, out of our lived experiences. So the knowledge of the past that you have about your love, about the things you love, is creating a new future through Mercury, through communication. Today we are looking at Venus in Libra and the three main themes that are going to emerge in the first part of our transit, which is August 10th through the 21st, 2026. The three main themes or categories are 2 different opportunities, 2 expansion points or broadening of horizons, and 1 test at the end to make sure that we're really serious. After that, Venus enters her shadow period, which is the area of the chart in which she is going to be transiting retrograde in the fall. But we don't have to worry about this here. We are looking specifically at this energy. So here is Venus in Libra, and she's already been in Libra for a little while. Under this transit, you should experience an alignment to the changing world around us, reconnecting with your new self. That includes new belief systems. And so open-mindedness really helps with this transit. You're really seeing the world clearly right now. So this helps you to understand where you are going and to make plans for the future. You may find yourself connected with others as you find people who share a same perspective as you do. So there are new perspectives emerging with this transit, and those connections are very exciting because it's the first time you've shared with another person this newfound insight. This transit is heavily focused on communication. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but communication brings people together and deepens bonds in existing relationships. There's a very potent day in which we are speaking our possibilities into reality using this energy as well. And at the end, we are going to experience a big test to see if the energies that we are playing with are going to work in our favor. So some of these transits have passed already, but I just want you to go back to those dates to see what shifted for you. First, we're going to take a look at the 2 opportunities that are happening for us. So there may be changing circumstances in your situations. There may be moments of powerful communication. And overall, this is a period of intense intellectual growth. So the first transit I want to touch on happened on August 10th. This is a kite with Venus in Libra, creating a grand trine with Uranus and with Pluto. There's a 3rd point to Neptune in opposition to Venus. Now, these are transformative points we've talked about since about 2023, in which specifically the personal planets, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Sun, Moon, transit this position in opposition to Neptune and activate our growth in awareness and understanding of what's happening in the world around us. So Venus is the first personal planet this year accessing the 1st degrees of Libra. And so she is the first energy through which we interact with the outer planets in the kite formation, besides the moon. The moon is in this position once a month. And so when she moves into the 1st degrees of Libra, that's when we find our identity amid the outside changes of the outer planets. So it's like finding yourself in a changing world. It's a moment of awareness, a moment of lucidity. You may find that tensions ease, things get easier, and things begin to adjust in your favor. The second opportunity arises with the planet Mercury and Jupiter, which are both going to create an aspect to Venus that we'll look at next. But together on August 15th, they form a conjunction. So here they are in the chart at about 10 to 11 degrees of Leo. So the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction is lucky because it allows us to speak into reality. This is when the things that we say or the things that we set intentions into by speaking about them create a powerful 1-year cycle from 10 degrees of Leo. This means that in about 10 to 11 months, I call it a year cycle, but it's 10 to 11 months, Mercury and Jupiter will join again, resetting this cycle. So again, we've met past this date, but it's still important and it's still active. What you want to look for is inspired speech. So what are you excited about? What comes natural to you to speak about? What would you speak about if no one paid you? That inspired speech on October 15th creates opportunity. And if that communication is a bond between you and another person, this can be a bridge. So if you and another person share the same values or the same thing that's important to you or that you value, that can bring you closer together. Under this aspect, you may have received exciting information. So pay attention to any information that came towards you that seemed like it was a missing piece or something that was valuable that was missing in your life. Now, as I said, both of these activations already passed, but that's okay because they're just initiating energy. We will have other planets transiting in this position over the next couple months, and the Mercury-Jupiter cycle is 1 year. Okay, so let's see what kind of energies we get out of this energy. So we have the Hanged Man, the 6 of Swords, the 9 of Swords, and the 4 of Wands. So there is pain, okay, around the home, something that stays close to home. I sense hiding. So someone is hiding when they are in pain, when they are sad. That's the 9 of Swords. They don't go out, and this causes delays. There's a fear or a threat of the outside world. Connections. So you're wary of connections with other people. Somebody's locked in, and so it's triggered by pain. Now this is from the past, okay? But it still shows up as relevant. So the core issue that there's the way of managing situations is to withdraw, and that's causing delays. I get a sense of apprehension of the outside world, long-term pattern, and a coping mechanism. But there's beauty to this as well, and that's finding something special. And that's the 6 of Swords, so it's an idea or a way of doing things, okay? Something unique, like figuring out a way to do something the way other people don't. It's something that has value, okay? And I think that there's a coming to terms with the circumstances. Some things may be out of your hands, like the environment or the people around you, the situation. So this is how someone is dealing with the situation around them. And I think they doubted themselves. They doubted themselves that it was the right path. They didn't see the value in it, but I think they're starting to see the value. And there's great happiness, which is the 4 of Wands. This reminds me of a lot of great artists, a lot of great philosophers, thinkers. They spend a lot of time alone to get good at things. People who have like a healthy social life and who are out and about all the time, who have a lot of social commitments, don't have the time to spend on something and get really good at it. There's interruptions. This reminds me of this energy here, that something emerges out of a difficult situation in which hiding or withdrawing, being by yourself is the logical answer to a given environment, and you doubt yourself because you see the delays that it's causing you, but you find something. It's to do with like wisdom and being quite clever. You find something that's of great value. And despite the fact that there are very dark things in the situation, concerning the situation, you achieve a lot of happiness and self-confidence about the issue. So whatever you're thinking about, whatever it is that you've been creating, I think that may be something that you want to review as a key to happiness. And if you're doubting if this has value, take this as a confirmation point. Okay, so next, let's take a look at 2 expansion points, or the broadening of horizons. So these are 2 dates in which energy is activated, so it grows and expands. Deepening connections may get at the root of a relationship or bring people together or in alignment. The first date is August 13th. Again, this passed, but it's still relevant now. This is a sextile, which is a 60-degree separation from Mercury to Venus. Mercury's in Leo and Venus is in Libra. You can see Venus in its maximum elongation, its furthest position from the sun, as the evening star, which means that it sets in the western horizon after the sun does. So you'll see it really high up in the sky right after sunset. Meanwhile, Mercury is a morning star, still relatively close to the sun, but is beginning to be visible. And it represents the morning star, which means that it's rising before the sunrise. And you can begin to see it in the eastern horizon every morning. Evening star Venus is thinking a lot about the past, while Mercury morning star is initiating the future. In other words, your reflections on the things that you're perceiving, Venus, the things that matter to you, the things of value, are interacting through an activation with Mercury. And Mercury is very active here, very excited. So the words that are coming out of our mouths are creating things very quickly here. So from the reflection of the past, which is Venus in Libra, Mercury manifests or creates here through communication. So we get new experiences form here, initiating a new path forward out of the memories of the past, out of our lived experiences. So the knowledge of the past that you have about your love, about the things you love, is creating a new future through Mercury, through communication. New information may be coming in under this aspect, and all of this can actually be helping you to understand the past, whether it's in love or other types of relationships. Under this aspect, and if you're watching this after August 13th, that's fine. Look back to this date and see if any of the following began for you. You may experience an invitation or some kind of offer. It says someone was attracted to your energy. So this energy is your new energy from the Kite, where Venus was absorbing the information from the other planets, outer planets, creating a new you in a new environment that we're stepping into. You saw something of value in the world, and that information drew people into you. So you were like a magnet. We're all magnets right now as we're seeing different things, and it's very attractive to other people because we're seeing things that no one else has seen in a long time before our lifetimes. And so that awareness is sparking people's attention. Okay, so the next transit is Venus with Jupiter, and this one happens on August 17th. So depending on when you actually watch this, it's likely that it hasn't happened yet. So before all of these transits happened on August 2nd, Venus created a square to Mars. Now this was a tense aspect between the feminine and masculine energies. That's not really the point of the video, but Jupiter is like the higher octave of that energy. And so the sextile reconciles any tension that you experienced at the beginning of the transit, at the beginning of the month. So it's an elevated form of connection. Again, it's a sextile, which is a 60-degree separation from Venus and Jupiter. This is an opening energy. Opening energy initiates things, creates a new spark, and is a part of the broadening horizons or expansion points that we're looking at here. So in this energy, you're connecting through excitement, right? You're connecting through sharing with others what you're excited about. In terms of a chronological timeline, Mercury creates a sextile with Venus, and then we have a Mercury-Jupiter conjunction on the 15th, right? And this begins a 1-year planetary cycle between these two planets. And then on August 17th, there's a sextile with Venus and Jupiter. So these 3 planets have like a domino effect on each other. Awareness between Mercury and Venus based on lived experiences, things that you know from living your life, things that are near and dear to you, are informing the way that you're directing your energy. Then we have a massive activation point on August 15th between Mercury and Jupiter, initiating a 1-year cycle of transformative energy. And then Jupiter and Venus elevate this energy through shared excitement. So sharing with someone else things that you're excited about, and they connect with that energy. There's a big question here about attraction versus compatibility. So just because something looks great doesn't mean it's a fit. And we're going to test that in the next transit that we'll talk about. So that's information that's going to lead us into some decisions about whether the things that we're finding under these transits fit into our lives. Some of you may have met someone on your level. So leveling people is not like a super cool thing to do, but in a more spiritual sense, not necessarily in external qualities or superficial qualities. You may have met someone at your spiritual level, mental level, someone with whom you really connect. And there can be a very powerful moment of seeing within each other a certain truth. If you're in a partnership, then you and your partner may have that deepening connection or a re-identification of the things that you both value, or finding new things together in this whole new environment that we're in. So this transit gives us a deeper connection, love. Some people will help each other. And a big part of this is that you're both excited about your new idea. It's about coming together with others on something that you both see value in. Now, we talked about kind of relationships, but this can apply to friendships, colleagues at work, family members. So whoever you're very close with, there's a closening of the relationship around things that matter. All right, so let's take a look at these cards and see what we get about expansion. So we have insight. These are oracle cards. And then we have home, and then tension and contribution. So the first message I get is this, that something needs to break, okay? Something needs to break, and there's a lot of tension around it, okay? It's in the home. That could be tension between people, or a decision needs to be made. But there's something like a pink elephant, okay? So something people are not talking directly about, but that's sort of there hovering. It's stopping progress. And I think the answer is outside the home. I think something breaks and there's a big release. There's fast movement to freedom. It feels very instinctual. Someone who was not helping is going to help. There's an assumption about that person, about being passive. And I think that there are people making decisions and judgments based on these assumptions. I think there's going to be a big surprise. I think someone saw the truth in a situation. It could be a member of a family, but definitely a member of a group. They stand separate, but quiet for now. Meanwhile, things are fracturing. It's not a bad fracturing, it's a fracturing of things that are holding individuals back. And then that person who everybody thought they were not going to help, they step in, and someone else is going to turn their back. Because I think that they have some kind of a goal or idea. It's not like a negative behavior. It has to do with moving towards some kind of path, being preoccupied or being interested in something. So this is all talking about how the expansion happens. And it happens in 2 different iterations. The Mercury-Venus sextile and then the Venus-Jupiter sextile. It's all about ideas, inspiration, and change in behavior, because of all the different perceptions that people are having. On August 21st, 2026, we experience a test. Venus in the midpoint of Libra, 14 degrees, forms a direct opposition to Saturn in Aries, okay? This is a test. This energy will test all of the transits that we just talked about and all the new experiences that they may have brought into our lives. Things like personal relationships, inspiration, shared excitement, and the broadening of horizons. So everything that the other transits were doing, Venus and Saturn are going to test it in this opposition. The opposition is asking some very important questions, such as, are these things going to work in our life? In other words, are they going to fit the way that you are living your life? Can they fit into your schedule? In terms of relationships, can this relationship survive? It's a big hurdle that we're going to overcome to figure out if the things that have come in through the other transits are going to fit. One of the big questions about fit is, can you prioritize this interest, this person, this situation? It has to do with timing because you have other things, other people that are also important. So you may be asking yourself if this is going to be timely. Do you have enough time in your schedule for this situation? Another very important test that may come up is the self-esteem test. That means, do you feel up to the task? Because sometimes it's okay to say, this does not feel right now, or I still have to work through some things. So this opposition is going to bring up situations that are going to make it very clear whether or not the new things that you have found are going to fit into your life, and whether you can emotionally handle it, whether you feel ready, if it's the right time. Next, we're going to talk about Venus retrograde shadow. That's when Venus moves into the later degrees of Libra. Later on in the year, in the autumn, Venus is going to turn retrograde between Scorpio and Libra. And so in the second half of her transit in Libra, she will cover that area that has to do with the retrograde. So we'll cover that separately. But the opposition to Saturn is very important because it's going to show you if the things that you're now interested in, the new things you've found, if they're going to fit. Okay? Have a nice day. See you next time.